Live from the Akrs Broadcast Center, it's the Nebraska Athletics AD Show with Troy Dannon.
Mickelson brings home the 0-1. Carey swings and launches one. Deep left field. To the track, to the wall. Good night, Iowa. Right-handed hitting. Trey Fike stands in. Swings and rips one up the middle. Base hit center field. Here's Buck to score. Stokes is going to follow. And he's turned into Larry Legend here at Hawks Field. 15-11 Cornhuskers. From with a 1-2. Suarez swings and misses. Strike 3. And Nebraska has won the 2026 Big Ten Tournament Championship. The Huskers, the undisputed Big Ten champs.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Crooks, on the Huskers Radio Network.
All right, welcome in the Nebraska Athletics AD Show presented by Woodhouse. I'm your host, Kyle Crooks, and of course, we have the athletic director of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Troy Dannon. Tyler Kyle will join us in segment 2, Deputy AD Revenue Generation. We'll talk about softball tickets and baseball tickets. I know that's been a hot topic. We'll talk about the Big Red rebuild and a lot of things going on, Devaney Center and the reseat process. But first things first, we welcome in the AD, and that is Troy Dannon. Troy, a lot of stuff going on in your world. First things first, how you doing?
Well, I don't know.
It's good to see you.
You know, it's there's a lot of things going on in the field and on the diamond in particular, and this weekend on the track that are great. But you know, my world's really been bogged down into stadium process, CSC, other lawsuits, and things that really constitute, unfortunately, the bulk of the job sometimes.
Yeah, and we do a nightly radio show, and I was telling Jess, I said, we spent a lot of time talking about the business of sports as opposed to just sports. But we'll get into the CSC decision. Of course, a lot of people out there want to know what's going on from Troy's perspective, but graduation just happened. We had that at Pinnacle Bank Arena. I'm living down there, so there was 1 million people down there, but student athletes graduating, moving on in their careers, whether through sports or what their majors are. But it's a good time of year because we're heavy into postseason play in the spring, and then you have, of course, graduation.
You know, we forget sometimes we are talking only about the business, but you know, this athletics is a business, but it is inside of an educational environment, and there's two masters to serve. And we spend a lot of time talking about, and I spend a lot of my time working on the business side of this master. But the holistic side of the master, the reason athletics exists inside of higher ed is getting to the degree, is preparing them to be successful later in their life. It's taking not just whether we made them a better baseball player or a basketball player, but did we prepare them to be successful through their experience here for the rest of their lives? And that ceremony, you know, we've all been through it, right? You know, the ceremony is what it is. It's a demarcation point for now. We're going to learn whether what happened here was actually as effective as we hoped it would be. Coaches never get judged on whether their athletes have great lives because of what they learned, you know, as they were as an athlete. They get judged based on wins and losses. But that graduation is always a moment in time, at least, where we go back and say, hey, let's not forget why we're really here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of great things going on, and we'll touch on it all. Big Ten championships for track are here in the brand new outdoor facility, and we'll touch on that. But this CSC decision, of course, that's been top of mind from a lot of fans. The relationship with Playfly Sports, the College Sports Commission rejecting 18 NIL deals through with Nebraska football players. When you look at this decision through arbitration that came down yesterday, what's kind of your explanation of the how and the why, and then where we go from here?
Well, it's good to go back and look at where we started, and I don't need to explain the whole process. I think people are fairly familiar with that. But any deal above the rev share that the universities now share, that 20.5, any image and likeness deal that generates revenue above $600 for a student athlete now has to be reviewed by the CSC, and there's a mechanism called NIL Go in there where the deal is submitted. It's viewed whether its range of compensation is appropriate for what's being asked to be done, whether there's a real legitimate business purpose for it. And there are a lot of rules that go along with it. Some of those rules being made up as we speak because we're still, I say we, the enterprise is still somewhat building this system out. So Nebraska has submitted hundreds of deals. You know, in every Big Ten school and every school in the country, hundreds of deals, if not thousands of deals, cumulative over a period of time. I think the CSC has approved $600 million dollars of deals, and we've gotten a lot of deals approved here. But we had a number of deals, 18 deals that were rejected several months ago, and rejected for reasons that when I say we, the student athletes and through representation and our position as an institution, rejected for a reason that we thought was invalid. And so the process calls for arbitration. So if your deal is rejected, then the rule says, and this is part of the House settlement, that you arbitrate. So an independent arbiter comes in and hears the athlete side of the story. Here's why the deal should be valid. It hears CSC saying here's why we believe the deal is not valid. And that process was followed. And it got a lot of attention nationally because we were the first one in the hopper for the arbitration. Why is that? Because the deals we submitted were really right after the football season. We were one of the first to get deals submitted. And so when ours were rejected, and you want to go to arbitration, just timing, right? We happen to be the first. There are more in behind us right now. And I'll also tell you there are literally tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of deals that have also been rejected, that arbitration has yet to begin because I think a lot of people were waiting to see what happened with our case, because our case was really about a fundamental argument of whether associated entity applied to our multimedia rights partner. An associated entity was created basically as what shut down collectives. It said that boosters or associated entities could not do deals, or were going to get deals scrutinized at a much higher level than non-associated entities. And the range of compensation was going to be tighter. The deliverables were going to be tight. It was going to be looked at differently. Our position is the Playflies of the world, the Learfields of the world, the multimedia rights partner are not associated entities. And so that was the crux of it. If they are associated entities, then our deals were not going to pass. If they are not, then our deals were going to pass. And it was ruled they are not. Now, getting two steps ahead, the plaintiffs in the House settlement led by Kessler, we hear the name a lot, they have filed for a hearing in federal court. That hearing is going to take place June 10th, basically arguing the same position that we argued, that multimedia rights companies are not associated entities. And the decision of an arbiter is one thing, the decision of the federal court that actually decided on House is another. So that lies ahead. So regardless of what happened in our case, that decision may or may not stand after this hearing in June. In the meantime, what then we're tasked to do is go back, and now we need to resubmit the deals under the premise that, okay, these are coming from an associated entity, which means they're scrutinized differently. That means that they have to be matched differently, paired differently, and priced differently. So we'll submit hundreds of deals involving those athletes. We've already submitted some, and the hope it will be that they're reviewed and they're approved. Now, why didn't you do that up front? We didn't believe we had to, and still I believe Kessler will prevail. But that here I am speculating, but. Nonetheless, it's going to be a lot of extra work on Playfly's end, on our athletes' end, on corporates' end, on companies' ends to get this done. But that's the next step in the process. Obviously, Nebraska has a state law, and that state law says no athlete shall be penalized for accepting a valid NIL deal. And you can argue, well, why doesn't the Attorney General step in? Well, we really haven't gotten to the point of the process yet where that law would kick in. So we need to exhaust the alternatives available to us, and that's what we're doing right now, is resubmitting those deals. I would tell you if those deals are rejected, my anticipation is the Attorney General would step in and say, the law says that you can't penalize them, they can accept these deals. But we do need to fulfill everything to get to the point where that law would even be viable for the Attorney General to step in.
So that June 10th date is a pretty big date.
It's a big date nationally. Now, I don't know that there's necessarily a decision that date, but that's when the hearing is, because, as I said, many schools, when the decision was made that multimedia rights companies could facilitate NIL deals for athletes, and that decision was made before or right as the House settlement was coming. A lot of schools have done a lot of their deals through their multimedia rights partner, similar to what we have done, and those deals are stuck in the system. So everybody's waiting to see what the outcome is, and I think they hoped we would set a precedent. In our case, now the hope is that Kessler will set a precedent for them, and they'll be able to do it. You know, the flip side is there are some schools that really aren't being able to broker those deals much above 20.5 who like the system and say that 20.5 becomes more of a hard cap. So it's going to be a defining moment as far as what does the long-term model look like, and really it was always going to come down to Kessler and the federal court interpreting something that's already been settled.
So the way that I read it, there is no real concern that these athletes will get paid.
No, no concern. One, we think and given what we learned in the arbitration process of structuring these deals and feeding them back through, I have strong belief the deals will get approved as they're resubmitted, and they're matched with companies individually, and they meet the criteria of an associated entity deal. But even if they don't, our state law, those who had the vision to get that law pushed through 2-3 years ago. I think it happened just as I got to town. I think that year the legislature in 24 approved that law. That is really a backstop that the athletes are going to get paid one way or another. It's just I said in my statement, I appreciate their patience. They've been waiting a long time, and they sat through the hearing. They participated in the hearing as asked, and I'd like to get to that end, but we're kind of first timers here. When I say that, nobody's operating naively, but everything we do is precedent setting, and in some ways, when you're in that environment, you're setting the path really for all those who are going to follow. So whatever our athletes now are going through, in some ways, they're their own version of House, right? They're the version of O'Bannon, who were really the first ones at the table, and it took a while for their claims to come through, but they did come through ultimately. Our position here, we want our athletes to be able to benefit to the degree that any athletes can benefit. I see a lot of roster numbers floating around out there, and I don't believe a lot of them. But nonetheless, if School A touts that they're going to be able to provide their athletes X, then Nebraska wants to be able to, whether it does or doesn't, but wants to have the same pathway to provide the same to our athletes. I think we all have to take a big grain of salt in the things we read and hear. A lot of deals schools are saying they've done, but have not passed through the system yet. And I'm not being Pollyanna-ish. There's some people that frankly aren't paying attention to the rules. And we're not going to do that. We're going to follow the rules. There is a federal antitrust settlement that prescribed rules to follow, and we're going to follow those, as are the schools in the Big Ten. But there are others that let's not pretend that everything's on the up and up. But that's part of the system we've lived in forever, right? There's always been things, and you have to rely on the governance. And here, the CSC is charged with finding, investigating, and ultimately penalizing those who don't follow the process set up by the House settlement.
Yeah, I wonder where all this is going to be a year from now or 5 years from now. And again, Nebraska kind of precedent setting in this whole deal. But June 10th is a very big date in all this, and we appreciate you shedding light, because a lot of the questions we get on Twitter is, what exactly does this mean? There's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of legalese that comes into play with this, but we appreciate you kind of breaking it down in layman's terms as to Nebraska's stance on all this.
Well, I will tell you, I said I'm proud of the athletes. Hush Blackwell represented them. I thought they did a great job of the case. We have Audrey Pohl, Jonathan Bateman on our staff that work on these matters day to day and that ran alongside. There are a lot of people that have been very committed to the athletes to try to get this thing done and get it done expeditiously. There's been a financial investment by the department that maybe others didn't have to make because we're the one out in front. But as disappointed as I was at the outcome, because I don't believe that's the correct answer, I also understand there's still avenues to pursue, and it's like a game, right? You lose a game, you dwell on it, then you're going to lose the next game. And so for us, we have to turn the page and get on to the next outcome to to get these athletes paid.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Coming up, we'll talk postseason tickets. I know there's been a lot of chatter about that. Of course, Lincoln Regional coming up this weekend, the potential of a baseball regional. Tyler Kai, who's the deputy AD of Revenue Generation, will join us to talk about that and a lot of different things going on around Nebraska Athletics. That's next on the show.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the mood for a wild ride? Then enter the Nebraska Lottery's Pony Payout promotion. Until July 28th, when you enter non-winning Pony Payout scratch tickets online, you could win a 2026 Ford Mustang GT Fastback. Gallop over to a Nebraska Lottery retailer and play today. Ford Mustang is a trademark owned and licensed by Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is not a sponsor of this promotion. Pony Payout top prize odds 1 in 120,000.
From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow. Who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Back on the Nebraska Athletics AD show presented by Woodhouse with Troy Dannon. Now a special guest, Deputy AD of Revenue Generation, Tyler Kai, joins us now. Tyler, we've had you on the show before. We had Globe Big Red a couple months ago, and we had a chance to chat about that. A lot of great things to talk about, of course, postseason here for softball. We hope baseball will be hosting when it's all said and done. Of course, a nice season sweep of Creighton last night, but when a lot of hot topics. But first things first, tickets, a lot of things going on. It's kind of busy time for you, is it? It
is. Well, and it's a good thing, to your point, right? For us to be in a position to be hosting a softball regional, potentially baseball regional, I think it speaks a testament to the quality of programs we've got right now for us to have that ability, and a lot of the teams that did go postseason. So we have spent a lot of time talking about the postseason process for how tickets get allocated. Those processes are different simply because the NCAA hosts these events. They're not our home competitions. There's different seating requirements for those. So we made a concerted effort about a year ago when we changed some things within the Huskers Athletic Fund, how we rank members, our membership levels, benefits, et cetera, to really adjust those processes. So the process it goes in a tiered on sale for all of our postseason tickets, whether we host something on site or we go on the road for a bowl game or March Madness. It starts with our top donor levels and moves our way down. I would also say, though, we still prioritize current season ticket holders. Those season ticket holders get access to the seats before we go into any general public. So because we do acknowledge there are some season ticket holders that do not donate and are not active members of the Huskers Athletic Fund. So we think it's absolutely fair that they get access, even if they're not a donor prior to the general public. So the softball process just happened this week. So we went through that earlier, I think on Monday, is when all that concluded. And it worked the way that we anticipated it working. We were able to offer every single season ticket holder seats in the building. Now, granted, Bolin does not have a significant amount of reserve seats, so there is a vast majority of that venue that is general admission. But every season ticket holder got an opportunity to get some get seats in the building. And then we had about 1,000 tickets left over for the general public. So we were still able to offer some folks that are not donors, not season ticket holders, the ability to get tickets to attend the regional. So it worked really well. It came with some consternation. There were some people that are frustrated, but our thought here is that it's about as equitable as we possibly can get, knowing that there's different configurations and different seating requirements, especially as we have visiting teams coming in. It's not just 3 other visiting teams, and holding some inventory back for those other player families to be able to have some seats in the building.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? NCAA events, there's NCAA requirements, right? You need to have tickets for teams that are coming in. In this case, you have 3 different teams that are coming into a Lincoln Regional, and same thing goes for baseball. Now, it's a bigger building, but you also have to hold back seats for other teams. I think this is the biggest area that people, when you're, again, I'm on Twitter a lot, but you see people buying tickets and then reselling tickets to try and make a profit, right? And there is a very clear stance on what you guys say for people that do such things.
That's right. Well, we don't think that's right. Troy and I don't think that's right. We don't think that it's right that in any of our venues that people would purchase tickets for the sole purpose of reselling those for gain. If you wanted tickets to come to the regional, we wanted to provide an opportunity for you to be there for the regional. But if you were only buying those tickets to be able to resell them and make a profit, that is certainly not okay with us and is a violation of our ticket broker policy. So that is in effect. We are monitoring that activity. We don't think it's right that anyone would buy those and try to gouge a fan that's trying to get into the building, especially knowing that we did sell out of the regional. Same would be the case for baseball, should we have the opportunity to host for baseball. So we'll be monitoring that activity and always monitor that activity. And then some of the repercussions that come with this is that if we deem it that you've violated that broker policy, we will prevent your ability to purchase tickets in the future. We did that for the volleyball reseat. As we went through that volleyball reseat process, we'll be doing the exact same thing for baseball and softball postseason tickets as well. So again, we want to make sure that those that are interested in coming into the building have the ability to get into the building for a very fair, equitable price.
You know, there's one thing too, just differentiating, okay, somebody selling tickets for a profit or somebody who truly can't make the game, right? And they have to resell their tickets. So I guess some people had the concern, hey, if I can't make it and I have to resell my tickets, am I all of a sudden going to be flagged where I can't get a ticket for a super regional?
Right. This policy is not intended to penalize anyone who has the occasional thing happen, right? Like, we understand people have busy schedules. You can't make it to a game on Friday, but you plan on being there Saturday, Sunday. That is not the point of this. This is really for those that have egregious activity and are bad actors. So they're selling these tickets for a lot of money, or truthfully, they're selling every ticket. That's not the purpose for what we're trying to do. And I think that we have the ability through, I don't want to call them an algorithm, that sounds pretty sophisticated, but just through some things that we monitor, that we have the ability to identify high levels of secondary activity that would basically flag an account. So smarter people in my office have the ability to track that. But for example, as a part of this, in the volleyball reseat, we identified 50 accounts right off the bat that were absolutely egregiously violating the broker policy. We didn't have to spend a ton of time looking and investigating it deeper. We looked at another set of about 150 accounts and identified another group of people that we identified as being ticket brokers. So there's a process in place for how we operate that, which we'll do in between the regional and if we're fortunate enough to host a super regional, holding back ticket opportunities for those folks that are violating that.
How much of that have we seen with softball of bad actors, as kind of the phrase to use?
Yeah, so the activity is starting to pick up the closer you get to game time. But earlier this week, there was a handful of tickets that were listed. I think when I looked yesterday, we only had 15 to 20 listings on SeatGeek, which is our official partner. But as we get closer, there's more. I would tell you we've already identified 5 accounts that we would deem as ticket brokers. That we've already identified and are working through the communication plan to let them know that they will not be eligible for future ticket purchases. But because we're still early, we haven't seen a lot, but we'll monitor this all the way through the weekend.
And the process, just to be clear, will be the same for a potential baseball regional than it is this weekend, because it's been the same for volleyball, all NCAA events. It's been the same, and it will continue to be the same for baseball.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it'll be the exact same.
So Big Red rebuild, we talked about that last time Troy was on. A lot of reseeding that is going to take place there once we're a full go in the fall of 2028. What did you learn from Devaney that can maybe spill over to what Memorial Stadium is going to be?
Yeah, so we haven't communicated many details. We want people to really focus in on this season and not get too far ahead of themselves. So our plan is to communicate in August with full plans, similar to what we did for volleyball. The volleyball blueprint, I think, worked, again, the way that we anticipated it. We had a lot of really good data points on the front end, but then as that process has also gone, it's allowed for us to maybe think through some minor adjustments we want to make. One that I think that we've found that is very clear is that the more we can communicate, the better. Mm-hmm. The more time we can give people through the process, the better. So it doesn't feel, I think I've said this previously, like a Hunger Game situation where people are trying to get into the process and they feel like they don't have enough information to be able to make decisions. But the way that volleyball worked is a lot of the way that football will work. Different size of venue, right? So there may be some differences in ticket quantity maximums, but the process itself will be the same. We'll start that communication in August. If people are curious to get some baseline information now, they can go to bigredrebuild.com, and we have some FAQs already on the page. A lot of it's very high level, right? A lot of it's basically saying stay tuned for more information, but we try to communicate as much as we possibly can and will this fall.
And, you know, the more that donations that you get for Big Red Rebuild, right, it's the less that you have to take out in loans and things for this project. So how is that coming along? It's not an easy job, but I'm sure people that are eager to help.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. This is the fun part, right? For us to have some really good conversations. We have a very passionate fan base, a lot of very generous donors that care deeply about this place, that really want to see this place be successful. We've had very good conversations, high-level conversations with individuals. I think we'll be excited in the future to be able to share what those conversations are turning out to be when it comes to gift commitments. But there's a lot of really good momentum behind this project. A lot of people that are very excited. I think that initial video did a lot of great storytelling of what the project will be when it's complete, what it'll mean for multi-generations. This isn't for just one generation of fan. This will impact multiple generations of fans. And I think that's got a lot of our donors very excited, especially as they think about their kids and their grandkids coming to games like they did when they were a kid. But yeah, very strong momentum behind it. And I think we'll be excited to share some updates here soon.
I think one of the things that in developing, the football policy that Tyler's working on, and going back to volleyball, how that developed, and then how the softball, baseball is structured. At its core, one, it's a new world. We have a significant line item in our budget now for player compensation. So, we're trying to look at, you can't just cut your way into it. You can't just raise more money your way into it. It's a combination of that. So there's that factor. But, we committed to, and we talked last time, a $5.5 million clubhouse renovation for baseball. Well, the key factors in that baseball renovation, they're not season ticket holders. Don't necessarily live here. Come to a game if they're in town. But, they want to know that they've got access when they come into the regional. Mm-hmm. And so it's a balancing act because, you want to respect the loyalty and the passion of the fans, but I also know that baseball program doesn't have the chance to be competitive with the new scholarship rules unless we're fully scholarshiping it and unless we get these facilities updated without those donors that are back. So it is a delicate balancing act, and both Tyler and I have been on the wrong end of the conversation with both sides of that, people who got shut out on the donor side and people who didn't necessarily get the access they wanted the ticket side. So I do appreciate the work Tyler and his crew have done because there's not a lot of glory in people being mad at you, and much of the work he has to do creates angst. But that angst really has, at the end of the day, it's because of the means to the end that we're trying to get, which is facilities and funding to remain competitive, nationally competitive in the sports that we're competitive in.
Yeah, that is a great point. It is a delicate balance, and there are tough conversations that have to be had. You had the champions benefit too. Our dinner, our radio dinner, myself, Jess, and Damon went for a good price. We were trying to beat Troy's dinner at his house, and we didn't come close. So that was a really good event, and it's been a record year of fundraising for you guys.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to what Troy was just commenting on. We're really fortunate. We have over 17,000 annual donors that give anything from $100 up to $25,000 plus a year. There is a level within the Huskers Athletic Fund for everyone, and I think that I've been really encouraged because we've had 2 years in a row now that we've started to have record years in the amount of fundraising that we've had, cash in the door, donor counts, et cetera. We launched these excellence funds. So I even think about this too with some of the baseball, softball folks. There maybe was some misunderstanding that some of these donors we were talking about were donors to other programs. There are certainly donors that are giving to the softball and baseball excellence funds that are a part of that same process. So about half of our baseball season ticket holders are active Huskers Athletic Fund members. So the year this year, though, has been incredibly encouraging, and it goes to the momentum, even with the Big Red rebuild, where we've got a lot of optimism because there's been donors that have been insanely generous to us in the last couple of years. So I want to say we've already exceeded $67 million this year in fundraising, and our best high prior to that was $60 million. So we're well on our way to continuing to break records, and as Troy says all the time, set the standard for how an athletics department should finance themselves. We're really proud that our donors play a vital role in that and the generosity they give us year over year.
Well, Tyler, thanks so much for coming in, shedding some light on a lot of the questions Husker Nation has had, and we appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thanks,
Tyler Kai joining us here on the Nebraska Athletics AD Show, presented by Woodhouse. We continue with Troy Dannon. That's next.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow, who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
In the mood for a wild ride? Then enter the Nebraska Lottery's Pony Payout promotion. Until July 28th, when you enter non-winning Pony Payout scratch tickets online, you could win a 2026 Ford Mustang GT Fastback. Gallop over to a Nebraska Lottery retailer and play today. Ford Mustang is a trademark owned and licensed by Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is not a sponsor of this promotion. Pony Payout top prize odds 1 in 120,000.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board. For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store, only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer. Back on the Nebraska Athletics AD show, presented by Woodhouse, Kyle Crooks and Troy Dannon. Great stuff with Tyler Kai, breaking down the ticket situation, Big Red rebuild, of course, Devaney Center, everything going on there. So we've covered a lot over the first two segments, and there are sports going on right now. Softball's hosting a regional. Again, what Rhonda's done with this team, winning double dip, win the regular season, win the tournament championship, and here they are, the number 4 national seed, a legitimate chance to have a vie and a stake to win a national championship,
and ranked number 1 in the polls,
latest poll,
coming in. So yeah, it's remarkable. How she's built this roster, and how many of the women on the roster were somewhere else and came back to Nebraska, and I think we have 11 Nebraskans on the roster. You used to say you could never win in the Midwest and, above the Mason-Dixon line because you didn't have the weather to win, but she's proven differently. A lot of fun to watch and neat group, but, you don't get this far without being a good group and without having a good culture. So happy for Rhonda. It's been a good year for her with the stadium naming and everything else. And, I think we've talked about this, but to be named a Conference Coach of the Year in 4 different decades, that is, there are a lot of things that I don't know anybody else will ever do. That one may be at the top of the list because it's hard to sustain anything for 4 decades, let alone a high level of success in your profession like she has.
And how about baseball? Finishes up a sweep of Creighton, but I was on that road trip at Ohio State where that's baseball, right? It's a tough sport. They get swept. Okay, the question is now, how does this team respond to that? You sweep Iowa, you beat Creighton, and now you have a big series against Minnesota. They put themselves right back in the conversation to host.
Yeah, they did. And, the that's baseball thing. It kills you. It rips your heart out, when you go to bed at night. But, coming into that Ohio State trip, it's a long season. We've been fortunate not to have many weather outs, so we're playing all these games. 2 weeks on a row on a road, midweek road games, finals approaching. There's a point in time when, let's not forget they're actually going to school and there's other commitment. I think everybody just needed a breather, and I think Will brought him back, set him for a couple of days after Ohio State, and everybody got their wind back in their sails and came out and in front of just an absolute monster crowd all weekend with Iowa, which was in great weather, impressive series, and then looked great last night in Omaha, and then off to Minneapolis. I think we already have a early move on weather to get that game up, but big series for us, and I'll be disappointed if we don't take care of business and get that chance to host in the regional. I think we've done enough to put ourselves in that position. But one thing Will did, much as Rhonda did, played a very aggressive schedule in the non-conference, and when you're in the Big Ten, and the West Coast schools added a lot of the diamond sports in the Big Ten, but if you take the West Coast schools out, a lot of the resources aren't necessarily being placed in the diamond sports because of weather. And so you always have to go find games to get your RPI, your strength of schedule up. And they both, in anticipation of good years, did that. And that's a great credit to both of them for scheduling into exactly what they're trying to get done here at the end.
And moving around a bit, but we were at the ceremony for the new outdoor track here on campus. Big Ten Outdoor Track and Field Championships are here on campus.
Yeah, 96 degrees on Friday is what I'm hearing. So
really, 90s. I got to look at my weather app.
It's we've had cold weather, and I was thinking that the schools from Southern California are probably not looking forward to spring weather in the Midwest, and sure enough, it's going to be warm. But great facility. The women. May well be favored. Everybody points track meets out in such a way, but I think the women maybe are ranked 6th in the country right now, and at the top of that list of favorites, and the men are a top 10, top 15 teams, and going to be fighting for those top 2 or 3 spots as well. Track and field has had a great history here. Justin is doing a fantastic job. So looking forward to having that meet here, run it at home. And I think the stadium just turned out marvelous. Letting our fans, we anticipate it being a fairly full house throughout the weekend, but think about hosting the track championships, and you have a softball regional at home, and theoretically could have regionals at home for the next 3 weekends. It's a great time to be in Lincoln for sure.
Not a great time to be in operations here at, but this is the time. This is fun.
Yeah, this, you always hope for this, and
right.
You look. We're headed toward, the sports are tiered in such ways. And so, in our league, we look at, volleyball, football in the fall, you look at basketballs in the winter, and you look at the diamond sports in the spring. And we'll be the only Big Ten school, barring something goofy happening at baseball conference championship, to have all 6 of those in the postseason, which, is rare in our league, obviously, and is but speaks to where our programs are right now, our coaches, and we sell out volleyball, we sell out football. The basketball was what it was, and we see what happened at baseball and softball. And the fans, we have a lot in common, right? The fans like to support success, and we have coaches able to put ourselves in a position in that success breeds more success.
Yeah. Consistency throughout the programs is definitely what we've seen this year for the Huskers. Still have one more segment to go here on the Nebraska Athletics AD Show presented by Woodhouse. One more segment left with Troy. That's next.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Applied Connective Technologies may be an award-winning IT company, but since day one, our passion, commitment, and top priority have always been about people. Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of Applied Connective, helping Nebraska businesses and organizations to operate at their peak potential. We're proud to offer world-class support in the areas of managed IT and cybersecurity, phones, surveillance, door access control, cabling, audio, video, and more. To hear what customers say about working with us or for a free technology consultation, head to appliedconnective.com today.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Allo Fiber. At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. DirecTV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store, only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer. Back on the Nebraska Athletics AD show presented by Woodhouse, Kyle Crooks, and Troy Dannon. Final segment we've touched on a lot, and still a few more subjects that we want to touch on because there's endless things that we could talk about. But 5 for 5 has been in the news. Your expectations on what the timing could be of a potential ruling there?
Well, I think we're all in the enterprise expecting next year every athlete that's on the rosters will have that 5th year. And there'll be some type of grandfathering or transitioning in, but those headed into the next year playing their 4th year and thinking their eligibility was done, I would guess are going to get the next year, starting next year. And you know what's going to happen, we have finite roster numbers in all sports, so I would assume there's going to be some accommodation for that. And but you know it's you've got some young kids on the roster saying, oh, I thought it was going to be my turn, and you've got some who are going upperclassmen who are going to have to decide if they want to hang around one more year or they want to head off into whatever their professional life's going to be, whether it's in the workplace or whether it's athletics. But I think for all of us, looking forward to it because, you know, we have some kids 7th, 8th, 9th year of eligibility. Maybe they didn't play all that time, but some continuity and knowing, you know, from an age standpoint that, you know, they're going to be 18 to 23 out there with rare exception. And so everybody kind of physically and mentally and the place in their life really at the same point. So fewer exceptions we have to rules, the better. And getting a rule like this where we don't have to make exceptions for people to have the 5th, just give everybody the 5th, I think is a great move. Yeah, so that will expect hopefully a ruling on that soon. And then college football playoff, there's been a lot of noise around that. You're on the committee, of course, the selection committee, and there's been a lot of talk. 16, 24, ACC's had their spring get-together, and a lot of talk has been the 24 has been the consensus, but there seems like there's some hesitation there. What say you? Yeah, I actually go to CFP meetings tomorrow for a day and a half, get back just in time for our softball game on Friday, but you know, so that part of it doesn't get a talk 24, but, you know, as an AD in the Big Ten, obviously Tony's somewhat led the charge to 24. I know the league is strongly behind 24. I'm a proponent of 24. I understand why people don't like growth. I understand why people like in romance for yesterday, but 24, I think you see, you know, how that impacts the bowl season and other things at the end is yet to be determined. But there is difference of opinion, right? And how, you know, television factors into everything. How does television line up with it? Is television, you know, on board with it? Because if television is not on board with it, you know, the economic model looks a little bit different than 16, 12, or 24. But I think we're headed to 24. I think there's a lot of momentum for it. But, you know, the rules of the game when it comes to structure of the college football playoff, the Big Ten and the SEC, if they agree, then that's the way it heads. So I don't think I haven't seen the SEC on record as pro 24 at this point in time. So we have Big Ten meetings next week, and I think the SEC follows up with their conference meetings right after that. So I think we'll learn a lot more in the next 10, 14 days.
Yeah, it seems like just reading the tea leaves, there's a lot of momentum, except for maybe one league when it comes to the 24. Volleyball, they're going to play in AT&T Stadium, a big $1 million prize pool. When there's big events, when there's unique facilities, Nebraska is involved.
Well, volleyball is kind of the darling now, I think, finally, of the television networks and some venues and some third-party promoters realizing, you see what the crowds are and the viewership numbers, and Nebraska's kind of led that way and has that reputation. So it is kind of nice to be the one that gets invited to all the dances. And there's already some things. Danny and I will meet next week, a couple of opportunities in 27 that are also once-in-a-lifetime probably opportunities. Neat experiences ahead, and a couple of those are NIL opportunities. So, again, how do you fund your rosters in order to, remain at the top of the game? And this is maybe an opportunity to help perpetuate, funding volleyball at the level where we can keep our competitiveness where it is today.
And football schedules coming out as well. We saw the Friday night game at Illinois. That's also on the docket. And I guess, too, just speaking towards the health of the athletic department as a whole, you see a lot of things that are out there about certain schools cutting certain programs, but it seems like Nebraska's just been in a really good spot financially.
Well, I think there's been a long history of good financial management, the spend environment really is 7-8 years old, and so I think. Back to Nebraska, building the suites long ago really protected our financial future well into. But now the costs of business are changing so dramatically, and player compensation is changing in every which way it can. So making sure we got to stay ahead of the game, and we also have to anticipate, because whatever is happening today, it is not final. Congress has two different paths they're talking about. I think even inside the enterprise, are the leagues the same? Do the leagues need to start looking at how they get a lot of changes coming? So how do we get out in front and remain at the forefront? And it's not just the money you spend, but how you spend it and everything. But you also have to be, from a financial standpoint, competitive. It's no different as you look at whether you do or don't like how much money we hear is being spent. But, we just gave Fred Hoiberg a contract extension. Why? Because to play at that level, we need a coach who's compensated at that level. And the same thing with Danny. When it came to hiring Danny from John, if we're going to be at this level, we have to compensate our employees at a level commensurate where our expectations are. Same thing. It may not be true compensation, but the same thing when it comes to your rosters. And so, as good a position as we're in, and we don't necessarily have to cut sports in order to do that. We have to live within our means in some areas in the department that maybe we've maybe had more flexibility on. We do have to find ways to continue to generate revenue. But at its core, our facilities are some of the best in the country. I would take our behavioral health, our nutrition, our academic support, and say it's among the best in the country. We've resourced those areas really well for a really, really long time. And making sure we continue to do that with our personnel from a coaching standpoint, and now with our players are keys for us moving forward.
Troy, thanks so much for coming in. I know we covered a lot.
Thanks.
Appreciate Troy, Dan, and Tyler Kai for joining us as well. Cam and Cohen on the ones and twos. I'm Kyle Crooks. An hour of Sports Nightly is next.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow. Who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
Good evening, I'm Duke Root, and the Sports Ticker is brought to you by the experienced advisors at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Nebraska softball two-way player Jordy Fromm was listed as a top 10 candidate for the USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year award. Fromm was a top 3 finalist for the award last year and was a top 10 finalist at her times in Oklahoma. The Nebraska baseball team starts their final regular season series at Minnesota tomorrow. First pitch on Thursday was moved up to 2 p.m. Central due to inclement weather in the Minneapolis area. You can catch that game right here at the HRN with pregame starting at 1:30. Yesterday, the Big Ten announced Nebraska's 2026-27 Big Ten Conference men's basketball opponents. This announcement is highlighted by the defending national champs Michigan coming to PBA, as well as UCLA and USC coming to Lincoln as well. And for this upcoming season, 2 of the Huskers' 3 double-play opponents reached the NCAA Sweet 16, with Iowa and Michigan State joining Penn State as Nebraska's double-play opponents. And tipping off right now in the NBA is the Pistons hosting the Cavs in Game 5 of that series, with that series tied at 2 apiece. This sports ticker is brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems, navigating you to and through the retirement of your dreams. Local advisors, discipline process, the retirement compass. Visit stonebridgeiwm.com. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Usack comes set. The pitch. Carey swings and drives a high fly ball to center field. Grizzly back to the track, to the wall. DC on Senior Day. A 3-run blast to dead central. It's an 11-11 ball game. Grundy from the windup brings it home. Jeske swings and absolutely crushes it. Where will it land? A moonshot. Ski ya later. And the Huskers have their first lead at 3-2. And another 3-2 on the way. Change up, swatted by Kivenson into center for a hit. Williams scores. Kaneda has scored, and this game is tied. Now the runner trying to score, Coor, and she comes in. Coor scores. 3-2 Nebraska. Oh, baby! Fromm with a 1-2. Suarez swings and misses. Strike 3, and Nebraska has won the 2026 Big Ten Tournament Championship. The Huskers, the undisputed Big Ten champs.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Kyle Crooks on the Huskers Radio Network.
And welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody with Kyle Crooks. Did a great job with the AD, Troy Dannon. As always, lots of good stuff, but there was lots to dive into today. There's been lots of news unfolding here over this week.
Yeah, the CSC stuff, of course, was top of mind. We talked a lot about that at the top of the hour, and just breaking down exactly what this means. I think as we've entered a new age of college athletics, there's a lot of legalese and jargon and things that fans don't necessarily understand. At times, I don't understand. So that's why it's great to have Troy in here and have those conversations, exactly what is happening. Troy had alluded to the fact that there's a June 10th meeting, essentially, which is going to be a bigger decision as to whether the entities like a Playfly or a Learfield that are, in this case, considered by the CSC as associated entities, are they associated or are they not associated? So that's something that could push this forward if a ruling in a court does differ from the decision that we saw in arbitration. That'll be on June 10th. So that'll be a huge landmark call that's going to be made here next month. So we talked a lot about that and hopefully gave some clarity as to what the future holds. These athletes will get paid. They'll find a way to make sure that they're paid, and they're going to resubmit the deals for the time being. But it was a great kind of clarity providing conversation with Troy.
Yeah, and in the meantime, while they're waiting on that ruling and what the next steps are, they're doing everything that they can here in the next month or so, the next few weeks, to get it going. I've again talked to a couple of the people, and they're frantically trying to make sure that they're getting it right for these athletes. So, like you said, they're gonna get paid. They're gonna be taken care of. Just an unfortunate bump in the road that they'll have to work through, but they're doing their best to get it right. And so hopefully that comes faster rather than later. So.
Yeah.
All right. Big night again for Husker baseball. And man, I don't know, not since I've been here have they had a midweek record like this. And they took care of Creighton in a dominating way. And for the year, Nebraska swept Creighton in every sports matchup.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah.
I think their midweek record now is, if I have it right, it's 10-2. It finishes up the season at 10-2, which is a complete juxtaposition to where they've been in the past, and a season sweep of Creighton. Yesterday, you got out pretty quick, and it's interesting how this series went. You know, the first game they played in Omaha, it was Nebraska getting out to, I think, a 6-0 lead, and, you know, that lead dwindled pretty quick. There was kind of somebody had to lean into the television a little bit after you had an 8-0 lead, gets cut in half. They had the opportunity to really trim at it, potentially, potentially tie the game. But Cooper Katsky was great in his start. His breaking ball was good. His stuff was good. He just seemed like he was confident when he was throwing strikes. So that's a good start. Gave up that one big home run for sure. And then the bullpen, Ryan Harrihill was certainly a big part to how this team was able to find its way back on the tracks. At one point, the bullpen had thrown 11 consecutive balls, and you never want to do that on the road. The crowd last night was tremendous. It was probably 90% Husker fans. I think it was over 10,000 fans made it out last night with some great weather, and the Bats continue to do what they do. I think we wanted to see how this team was going to find a way to bounce back after getting swept on the road at Ohio State, where the Bats were silent for the first time in a while. The pitching, the bullpen wasn't necessarily at its best. We hadn't seen a whole lot of slug heading into the Iowa series, and a lot of that has changed. The clean sweep over Iowa, winning different types of games, and then last night really a pillar-to-post win, and something that hasn't been done a whole lot lately, and that's an entire season sweep of Creighton. So good things ahead here. One more series left with Minnesota on the road, and then before you know it, it's Big Ten tournament back in that same ballpark.
Yeah, so again, Minnesota, the series moves to Thursday to allow teams to have some rest for the Big Ten tournament and the week-long event that it is. But, you know, we had talked after the Ohio State sweep that what this team probably needed to do, and kind of the same thing going into Minnesota, right? And what does a challenge look like for this team to maybe potentially go up there and get another sweep?
Yeah, I think more of what you've seen here over the last 4 games continue to provide slug. I think Dylan Carey, after a rough weekend against Ohio State, same for Mac Moyer. They've gone back to being more of the same type of player. Drew Grigo had it was a notable performance offensively. He had 3 doubles. That was a program record for a single game. He continues to move up the charts for freshman runs driven in for a season. He'll be at the top of that list. He'll have the most RBI for a freshman campaign when it's all said and done this year. So you continue to get contributions throughout. If the offense does what it does against a team like Minnesota, I would expect there's no other expectation other than a sweep for this team, but you have to take it one game at a time. We've seen how unforgiving this league can be in certain stretches. We saw them fall on a Friday night to Illinois, the sweep against Ohio State. So for them to finish out Big Ten play on a high note, we know what they've done at home this year. I think what they've done over the last 4 games is put themselves in a realistic situation with how this regular season and Big Ten tournament finishes out to be in that top 16 and potentially host. Their RPI has moved back up. I think it's around 13 or 14 right now.
All right, that's what's ahead for Husker baseball on the road. We've got a huge weekend here in Lincoln as titles on the line, lots of titles on the line. Husker softball playing for a regional title to move ahead to the super regionals, and Husker track and field hosting the Big Tens. They are super excited about that, so we're going to talk to Justin St. Clair and what the excitement level is and what needs to happen for track and field to potentially win a few Big Ten titles. So we'll hear from him here coming up in just a few minutes. But up next, we have Nate Rohr, the voice of Husker softball, going to get us set for the regional action with Nebraska softball. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow. Who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
In the mood for a wild ride? Then enter the Nebraska Lottery's Pony Payout promotion. Until July 28th, when you enter non-winning Pony Payout scratch tickets online, you could win a 2026 Ford Mustang GT Fastback. Gallop over to a Nebraska Lottery retailer and play today. Ford Mustang is a trademark owned and licensed by Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is not a sponsor of this promotion. Pony Payout top prize odds 1 in 120,000.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the mood for a wild ride? Then enter the Nebraska Lottery's Pony Payout promotion. Until July 28th, when you enter non-winning Pony Payout scratch tickets online, you could win a 2026 Ford Mustang GT Fastback. Gallop over to a Nebraska Lottery retailer and play today. Ford Mustang is a trademark owned and licensed by Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is not a sponsor of this promotion. Pony Payout top prize odds 1 in 120,000.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow. Who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you should pay what we pay.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store. Only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. We are, 48 hours from Husker softball kicking off the regional tournament right here in Lincoln, out at Bolin Stadium and Ronda Revelle Field. And we welcome in the voice of Husker softball, Nate Rohr, to dive into all of it, of course, and to preview the upcoming weekend. Nate, you ready? How excited are you for this week?
I'm excited. I'm not ready. I still have more work to do. I'm still diving into the teams and, as quick as everything is. And Coach Revelle pointed this out on Sunday. It's been a while since we've seen Grand Canyon and Louisville and even South Dakota, who we sometimes run into in the fall or maybe a non-conference. We haven't seen in a couple of years. So it's getting up to speed on those teams, but I'll be ready to go by Friday. I don't know if it's going to be much before 5:15, but I'll be ready by then.
Let's start here because we'll have a chance to talk about the games and the opponents, especially on Friday to start things out. But the seeding, you get a 4 national seed. Where do you stand on that? For me, it's probably right around what I thought. I thought maybe a 3 is probably where they would land. Are you okay with where the selection committee lands Nebraska at 4 overall?
Grudgingly okay. Where you look at the RPI and they're 3rd and the NFCA poll, for what that's worth, and I know it's a coach's poll. It's not like it's the gospel, but Nebraska's number 1 there. Just one spot down from your RPI, especially with softball, where your RPI tends to have a lot to say about where you're seated and if you get in or not. I can't get too mad about it, but I also think there's a case that Nebraska could have been a little higher. I'm wondering if the NCAA committee was engaging in a little cowardice because they were sitting there with Oklahoma, Texas, and Alabama, and they couldn't quite separate those 3 teams out, and they thought it'd be more defensible to have them stacked up 1, 2, 3 than to put Nebraska somewhere in that mix.
I'm kind of with you. I feel like they probably going into the conference tournament weekend were, dead set on having Oklahoma number 1, and then they get bounced and you have Texas and Alabama playing in the championship and they can't justify Oklahoma still being number 1. And so then they're like, what do we do? And that's how they ended up. But how about the double dipping with the Big Ten title, both regular season and the tournament? You're, facing UCLA, another really good team nationally, and, being able to close that out in a tournament and claim that Big Ten title. What do you take away from that moving forward into the postseason now with the regional tournament?
I think the biggest thing that they take out of that Big Ten tournament run is the fact that they beat 3 regional caliber teams. If there was one worry that I might have had about this Nebraska team going into regionals, it's that down the stretch, they didn't really see very good opposition. Penn State was okay, but not great. Iowa's not very good. Minnesota isn't very good. So as you looked at who Nebraska played down the stretch, you worried, were they getting a little soft, fattening up on the bottom half of the Big Ten? But they were able to come back and beat Michigan on Thursday. They were able to just dominate an Indiana team that's a regional team and a team that had been really prolific offensively. And then on Saturday, coming out, UCLA puts up 2 runs. You take a punch from them, and then you punch right back with 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and then Jordy Fromm just dominates the rest of that game. The fact that Nebraska was able to handle such great opposition at the Big Ten tournament leaves me feeling more confident that they'll be able to go into regionals sharp and ready to play at a high level, as opposed to, hey, we were able to muddle through with our B- effort through the last couple of weeks of Big Ten play.
How about Alexis Jensen and what she did against Indiana, right? Complete game, 2 hits, only 1 walk, 12 strikeouts for her, and what she's going to have to do in this regional potential super regional. That was a pretty good sign postseason-wise of what you got out of the freshman.
No doubt. I think it validates her poise and her maturity, her competitive mindset. It's interesting. I talked with Rhonda Revelle about this going into that Indiana game, then in the aftermath. You know, her last couple outings of the regular season weren't the sharpest, and so she had a tough bullpen the week of the Big Ten tournament. I think the Husker coaching staff really challenged her to step forward, and it's safe to say challenge accepted and met, that she brought her best self out there for that Indiana game and was able to dominate. I mean, she strikes out the first 6 batters she faces and never really lets up against them. So I think that's a really good sign moving forward, and only elevates the level of trust that this coaching staff is going to have in Alexis Jensen, that even though she is a freshman, even though you have Jordy Fromm, arguably the most accomplished pitcher in college softball, in your dugout, at the same time, you can trust Alexis Jensen to go out and get you a win or two in a regional.
We kind of heard this closing out the Big Ten tournament and even going into the selection show, or hearing it a little bit more, but the completeness, if you will, of this team. Do you agree that this is probably arguably the most complete team in college softball this year?
Yeah, I'd buy that. Absolutely, I would. I think the pitching depth is a step above a lot of the rest of college softball. I think the lineup 1 through 9 is really something that teams have to deal with. There's not an easy off-ramp in the Husker lineup. I mean, hitters are hot and cold throughout a season. It comes and goes. But you look at Casey Hoffman, and usually she's in that 6, 7, 8 neighborhood lineup-wise, and she's hitting well over 300, and even with a little bit of power, and seems like every game she has 2 hits. So that's somebody you've got to deal with at the bottom of the order. They can run, they can play small ball, they can hit for power, manufacture runs. The defense might be the weakest point. I feel pretty good about the outfield defense. The infield defense had a little bit of trouble at the early part of the Michigan game, but they were able to get the car back on the road and able to lock it back in. So other than maybe infield defense, I think this team checks every box as far as being proficient.
I know you're early in the process of your prep. We don't throw first pitch until Friday, but South Dakota, Grand Canyon, Louisville, that's the field here for the Lincoln Regional. If I had to say, okay, what maybe scares you the most about these teams coming to Lincoln, what would that be?
So, before we were chatting today, I was looking at Grand Canyon, and they have a bunch of pitchers that have pitched reasonably well. And coming out of the Mountain West Conference, that's a conference where the offensive numbers are usually inflated. I mean, essentially, everybody is playing at Coors Field in the Mountain West, and yet the pitching numbers look really good, and they have some strong offense as well. So their completeness probably worries me the most. You look at South Dakota, and they've gotten hot, and they've got some confidence, but at the same time, there's just not the body of work there that says this is a team that can consistently beat Power 4 opponents, let alone a team as good as Nebraska. And then you look at Louisville, and the offensive numbers are pretty good, but the pitching, there are big questions about what they're able to do in the circle. And I think this time of year, if you've got to pick offense or pitching, you pick pitching. And the fact of the matter is Louisville's pitching doesn't scare me enough the way Grand Canyon's might. And again, I'm using might because you always wonder when a team puts up the numbers that Grand Canyon does, and they played an okay schedule. I mean, they're top 30 RPI, so it's not as if they played a bunch of rummies and then got hot for the Mountain West tournament. But you wonder how solid those numbers are. But if they can run a bunch of arms at Nebraska and change people out to where Nebraska can never get a real rhythm on their pitching staff, that worries me a little bit because that feels like a path to an upset.
One thing, too, is Grand Canyon, they were down 9-0 after the top of the first inning in the Mountain West Championship, came back to win 11-10 to beat Nevada. And a lot of people, Nate, we almost essentially thought it'd be a shoo-in for Omaha to win their conference, be here in a regional. And the fact that they're not here, they were saying, hey, we should still get an at-large bid. So that helps the Huskers in the fact that maybe they're not playing a really tough mid-major in Omaha in that first game, as opposed to now South Dakota coming here. Right, Nate?
Oh, no question. I mean, every time we talked about, well, what's a regional look like for Nebraska softball? Who might they play? We were always talking about, okay, it'll be Nebraska, Omaha, and then maybe a Kansas or somebody like that. So, and then, grab whomever to be your number 2 seed. So the fact that Omaha isn't here is a real surprise. And, even though I think Omaha was the better team throughout the season, in some way that's a bit of a disadvantage for Nebraska from the standpoint that they had beaten Omaha 3 times and had a pretty easy time against them, all things considered. And so they had a pretty thick dossier on what to do against Mattia Groff and how to pitch that lineup. And they just don't have that base of knowledge against South Dakota. It's something I think they can overcome. But, in some ways, it makes South Dakota tougher to prepare for in this context than Omaha would have been to prepare for had Omaha made it out of the Summit.
I know, look, this team is so mature, and they really do take it one pitch at a time, all of that. I mean, it sounds cliche, but they do that. But overall, Nate, from the overall perspective, how do you feel about this draw and the road, if you will, to Oklahoma City?
The regional might be a little tough just from the standpoint that you feel like Nebraska has 2 number 2 seeds in the regional. I mean, both Grand Canyon and Louisville are top 30 RPI. And if you just go down what, in theory, everything should be, you should have a tough 3, but it still should be a team that's, say, 35th or so in the RPI. But I think this is a fairly manageable regional. It's a regional that sets up fairly well for Nebraska. Of course, then you look on to the super regional. And Oklahoma State looms ahead, and Nebraska has had a lot of history with Oklahoma State over the last 5 years, going to Stillwater twice for regionals in the last 5 seasons. They played Oklahoma State down in Stillwater, and what was supposed to be a 3-game series, the 3rd game was rained out, but the teams split the first 2 games of that set. And Nebraska had really had problems against Ruby Malin, whether she was at Washington or she transferred to Oklahoma State before last season, and Malin shut the Huskers down in Wichita, and then was part of both the win and the loss in February. So she was somebody that seemingly had Nebraska's number until that Saturday game. So that's going to be a hurdle. And of course, you'll have all the storylines with Ruby and her grandfather having played football here at Nebraska and having played high school ball with the Kaminson twins and all the connections there. That assumes, of course, that Oklahoma State makes it out of that regional, because they play the 2 seed in that regional is Stanford. And those 2 teams played in February, and Stanford beat them. So I think Oklahoma State's going to have a tough road to get out of their regional. They're going to have a big-time battle. But if they do, that super regional in Lincoln is going to be a circus, frankly, if Nebraska's playing Oklahoma State with Oklahoma City on the line.
If you had to pick a player outside of the obvious, the Jordys, the Jensens, who's your pick to click this weekend? Who do you expect to have a big regional?
Ava Kuzak would probably be my pick. She's somebody who has gone through a little bit of a valley, but she's also, gotten a hit a game, basically. But somebody that I think can hit for some power, highly talented player that maybe Louisville or a Grand Canyon doesn't have as complete a book on as a Big Ten team. So I would say, and, you're talking about a senior and a veteran player. So I'll ride with Ava Kuzak. There are certainly others. I mean, Hannah Kamenson would be right there as well. But Kuzak will be my pick, at least to start.
Nate, I was telling Kyle about during the selection show when Texas got called, how all of our fans booed. And so then we kind of got into this discussion, and I said, is there a more hated team in college athletics than Texas? And so it kind of caused this debate. What do you say? Do you think there's a more hated team than Texas by everybody? I mean, I feel
all
like
sports,
college in sports, like, is there any more team that unites people like Texas?
Not anymore. There might have been a time that like Notre Dame football would have done that, where everybody would have gone against Notre Dame football. And, Ohio State football can kind of get in that realm, but, we're still only talking programs here. It doesn't matter what sport. Nobody likes Texas. They're arrogant. They're entitled. They're highly talented. And, they usually win a lot. And I know the feelings here in the state are especially bitter toward Texas because of our shared time in the Big 12 conference. But, I suspect Oklahoma fans have a long folder of grievances against Texas. And
Oklahoma State does?
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Texas A&M? Texas?
Yeah.
Texas Tech? I mean, yeah. They got a long list of rivals.
Yeah, it is a highly arrogant athletic department and fan base. And
tell us how you really feel.
It's
pretty easy. They're a pretty easy bunch to hate. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, it's going to be rocking out there, right? You think it's going to? That's why I feel like ESPN and the A-Team chose Nebraska to be able to showcase what this atmosphere is going to be like on Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's probably right, the fact that they chose Nebraska. I also think it's partially showcasing Jordy Fromm. I think it's also setting up that Jordy versus Ruby storyline. If the seeds hold, I think the odds are pretty good this bunch is back here next weekend. And, the other part is, I'm sure for ESPN's part and for those guys' part, they just want to see Nebraska. I mean, because of how the TV contracts crack out, they haven't called Nebraska softball this year, whereas they have the exposure to Alabama and Texas and Oklahoma and Florida and on down the list. Whereas here's Nebraska, one of the contenders, and they've hardly seen them this year. So I think that all played in, but it's going to be the place will be full. It's going to be rocking. I mean, you think about it for the Husker fan, where there's only been one ball bat regional in Lincoln since 2008. I mean, think about that. And especially where in the first decade of the Haymarket Park complex, either baseball or softball or both was hosting regionals basically every year. This fan base is starving for postseason baseball and softball, and they're going to get it. And so I think it's going to be a raucous atmosphere.
That gives me chills. I can't wait. So 5:30 on Friday in South Dakota for Nebraska softball as their road to Oklahoma City begins. Nate will be on the call for us right here on the Huskers Radio Network at 5:15. I'll bet the numbers on the stream and the website continue to grow for you, Nate.
Hey, we're excited. We're happy to have everybody, even the folks jumping on the bandwagon the last week or so. But the more the merrier, and hop on. This is a fun team to follow.
And that is Nate Rohr, the voice of Husker softball. Going to have a fun weekend coming up this weekend. We got to step aside for a break. More coming up right after this.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Not All Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Not All Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Not All Services. These are the Not All Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. All right, so we talked softball. Time to talk some track and field as a big weekend over there for the Huskers. Big Ten championships right here in Lincoln, the first time in a long time. I had a chance to catch up with head coach Justin St. Clair to preview the weekend and just the excitement level going into this weekend with two top 10 teams. Huskers hosting the Big Ten championships. We've been talking about it a while. What's the excitement level for you and this team this weekend?
Super excited. I mean, obviously, this event, it's a big event for us. And it's something that has been talked about for a couple of years. It turned from, hey, this would be a cool idea, to, yeah, we could probably do that, to, hey, we're going to do this. So the anticipation has built and built and built. So now it's here. And now it's like, okay, it's go time. So tons of excitement. Obviously, there's stress that comes with that excitement, but no, super exciting.
Seems like one of the stressors is weather, and it looks like you're going to have some good weather, knock on wood.
It's going to be super. I personally, I was kind of hoping that it would be maybe a little bit colder,
yes,
just because we're used to that, and maybe some of the other, programs maybe California schools might have been like, oh, it's a little cold, but hey, I'll take it. It's great.
And the fans will love it a little bit more probably too.
Sure.
Okay, so this is new, brand new track. You guys have been on it a couple of times. How is it? How fast is it?
Well, I'm kind of slow and it makes me feel fast. So I would say it's the background obviously thinks it's pretty good too. I think it's a great track, and I expect to see a lot of great times.
So it sets up for a good place to host this kind of an event.
Yeah, I mean, this is a test run. Obviously, it's the Big Ten championships, but our vision is beyond the Big Ten. We want to get to a regional championship, get to the state high school championships, and try to have all of that here in Lincoln.
2 top 10 teams for Nebraska as you enter the postseason starting here at the Big Ten. So let's start with the women first. What are you seeing out of that group that has allowed for them to continue to rise in the rankings throughout the outdoor season?
You know, and I'm a broken record with this. Consistency is important. And everything you do, how consistent can you be? Because when it is under stress, that's what's going to show up, is where are you consistent? And the gals have been super consistent with their performances. And I would say we are consistent at high level, but not peaked yet. So I would say there's a lot more juice to come.
Wow, that's exciting. And you guys are the number 1 team in the country in the shot put. You got a lot of depth there. How important is that for the women's side that you have so many girls that you can rely on to put up points for you guys?
It's, you know, there's pressure with that too, right? Because that's an event area that I coach. And then if they fall short, then it's like, oh, shucks, I let everyone down. But again, they've been super consistent. They know what the goal is. They know the mission, and they're ready to go.
How about the men's side too? You got a couple guys that seem to be hitting their peak as well and putting up some good times, some good throws, all of that. We're seeing records being broken left and right here with both sides here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, again, and same thing with the guys, like super consistent. And all of the meets, in my opinion, like everything we do, it's all about training, preparation for the championship season. So we go to this meet, that meet, this meet, figure out what works, what doesn't work. Was it a good meet? Was it a bad meet? If it was a bad meet, why? How do we recover from that? What do we do differently? And if it was a good meet, it's like, hey, let's do the same thing. So being consistent is exceptionally important.
Okay, so is that kind of the key to building too? Because you said they're not at their peak yet, but they continue to get better, it seems like, as we're seeing the news come out with this team every single weekend. So how do you get them to start peaking at the right time?
I mean, that's part of the training, right? Me as a coach, like I design all of my training. Hey, how good can we be when we're the most tired or the most stressed or even maybe have under the weather, whatever it might be. That way I can figure out, okay, this is where we are on a bad day. How do we move to a good day? And obviously throughout the year, your training volume's a lot higher, your intensities are higher. And then as you get into the championship part, that kind of comes down. The academic load has come down. We're done with finals. So now a lot of students can just, hey, I can breathe. I'm done with that. Now let's go compete.
You know, this program has always been one that's dominated the field events, but it seems like you got some athletes that have put up some good times and been able to be really good on the track as well. How exciting is that for you guys?
Super important, right? We have always been strong in field events, but if you want to be competitive at the level we want to be competitive, we have to have help in other areas as well. And that is being answered now. And people are stepping up to that challenge, and the track side is really kind of taking steps in the right way.
Okay, so it's going to be an awesome weekend. I love watching track and field. But for fans that are maybe thinking about or looking for something to do this weekend, why is this a fun event to come out and see in person?
Well, let's put it like this. We have not hosted a championship in a long time. And we are Nebraska Athletics. And we say, hey, we love Nebraska Athletics. Come support us. Come cheer us on. You have a chance not only to cheer on the Husker athletes, but you get to watch some of the best athletes, not only in the NCAA, but also in the world. So even if you might not be the biggest track guru and know everything, you can appreciate watching somebody who is exceptionally well at what they do.
And what's the benefit for track? I think people probably know with the other sports, the benefit of being at home, but for track and field specifically, what's the benefits of being able to be right here at home?
Your routine, right? You're sleeping in your own bed. You know what you're going to eat. There's no variables like that. That's the hard part on the road. You're in a hotel. You have a roommate. There's a lot of pieces that come into play. And, hey, we're at home in our comfort zone, a place that we train every day. If it's windy, we know what to do. If it's rainy, we know what to do. If it's too hot, we know what to do. We know how to adjust here at home.
I talked to Berlin Schutz last week, and she's talking about how they're really embracing chasing trophies and championships, and not just at the Big Tens, but all the way. What do you like about the culture and just the mindset of both sides going into this and wanting to do bigger things every step of the way?
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot, especially like in team meetings. It's talked about very often that what you believe is what you can achieve. If you have the mindset of, I want to be the best, you're going to go out and do the best you can do. And when you have a group of people, an entire team of people that are rowing the boat the same way, with the same passion and the same goals, it becomes that much more motivating. Because I'm going to go run my race. Yeah, it's my individual result, but it impacts the team. And I'm going to work even harder when I'm trying to help the team. So the culture piece is very, very important.
All right, last thing I got for you. Keys for these teams to maybe pursue and win a Big Ten title this weekend.
Give it everything you got. Go out and compete. Like in my mind, the cake's kind of baked. Now just go out and eat it. Don't try to do more than you need to. Just do what you have been doing. Let everybody else stress. Just stay in your lane, stay in your zone. Don't worry about who did what. Just go do you.
Great stuff. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
I always enjoy talking to the head coach, Justin St. Clair. You can tell he just was smiling the whole time. You can tell how excited he is for this opportunity for his athletes to get to compete here at home for those Big Ten titles. So it should be a fun weekend. If you want to get out there and watch what is a really fun event, it's a lot going on. And again, lots of Huskers out there that could win some individual titles, and also both teams could very well be in contention for team titles as well. So Huskers.com/tickets. The easiest way I've found to find the tickets, Huskers.com/tickets. Navigate to the track and field page, and then right up at the top, there's a big banner that will take you right there to buy those tickets. So, all right, got to get to a break. Coming up next, we're going to make some golf picks. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Husker fans, if you're looking for a fulfilling career that's financially rewarding and provides flexibility, your local insurance agency is hiring. No matter your skills or interests, there are opportunities for you in the insurance industry. Explore the many ways you can use your skills to protect your community by checking out the IIAN job board. Find your calling and be a part of an industry that makes a difference. Go to iian.org/careers today.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
From the chant of Husker power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
Welcome back. Final segment here of Sports Nightly on this Wednesday night. Kyle Crooks, I'm Jessica Coody. We're also bringing in Camden Cone because we've got a major golf tournament starting tomorrow, Kyle's favorite. So we're going to make some picks, which he usually does not win. We did a snake draft. We're going to do a snake draft. I just spun the wheel. They both witnessed it. So the draft order is me, Camden, Kyle. Then Kyle gets a back-to-back pick, which I think is the best spot, Kyle.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll see how I win.
All right, so we have to do this kind of quickly, but I'm first. I went first, or I got the first pick, and I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler. I would be a dummy not to.
Yes.
Kyle?
Oh, I am not next. Isn't Camden next?
Oh, Camden's next. You're
I'm
right.
next.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Rory because how can you not after all of his success?
Good pick. You got a back-to-back, Kyle.
I'm going to go Justin Rose. Plays well on this course. That's just a little research for you. I'm going to go Ricky Fowler.
Oh. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
I'll go Cam Young.
Dang it, that's who I was going to pick. All right. I'm going to go Ludwig Oberg. How about that?
Oh, yeah. I know Ludwig. We're actually friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Camden?
Or are you back up?
I just picked.
But do you get two?
Oh, okay. Bryson DeChambeau.
Am I up?
Camden's up.
I forget what it even is. I'll go with, let's see, Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
Am I up?
Yep.
I'm going to go John Rahm.
All right.
Am I
There
up?
we go. There we go. That was a rapid fire picks that none of us knew what we were doing.
Am I up?
I do think we all had three.
Am I
no,
up?
you had three. You have three golfers. Who do you have?
You want me to actually remember who I picked?
I have
Justin
Scheffler.
Rose, Ricky Fowler, and John Rahm.
Camden, who do you have?
It's a good question. Cam Young, Rory, and Schauffele.
I have Scheffler, Oberg, and DeChambeau. So there you
Am
go.
I up?
No, we're done.
Okay.
We're done with that. All right. Final minute left here for us. We're going to play with the baseball schedule moved. We're going to have a best of for you tomorrow night, and it's one of the games versus USC. So
Yeah, it was a clean sweep. That was a big weekend.
Really good weekend for Nebraska baseball. So we'll play that for you here tomorrow night. Again, huge weekend coming up for track and field. Get on out there if you can, and Huskers softball. I cannot wait to see that atmosphere. We talked about this with Nate, but I really do think that's why ESPN picked it because it was such a big storyline with the NCAA tournament, the way that Husker fans showed up in Oklahoma City. I really think they want to showcase that and just this fan base here in Lincoln.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rambunctious, dare I say. And it's going to be fun. And it's a team that has a chance to win a national championship, and this is where it starts.
Let's go. Going to be exciting. All right, we're going to have coverage of a lot of these events on our social media platforms throughout the weekend, but we'll have a full breakdown of the weekend coming up on Monday with 2 hours of Sports Nightly. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it, Husker Nation. Thanks to Camden. For Kyle, I'm Jessica.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
We're here for those who build America. Those who believe that giving everything we've got today will pay off tomorrow. Who will drive America forward for 250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you